Welcome back to A Plus Parents, everyone. And I have a super cool international guest with us today. Her name is Kara Peterson. Kara's 15 years old. She's currently doing our Algebra 2 course. She started working with our math courses way back when in pre-algebra when she was just a young one, right? Way back when. But Kara has an amazing story for her and her entire family. Kara is number 4 in the line of 6 siblings, well, 5 siblings, counting Sarah, 6 kids in the family, and their family has an orphan ministry. And right now, I have to look at my notes so I can make sure I say this right. Right now, she's in an area in South Africa called Lesotho in Africa, and she's in a village that's called Meseru. How'd I do? Did I say that okay, Kara? Close enough, right? Okay, well, you can correct my pronunciation as we go. So Kara's family is originally from Kansas. They had decided and really found their own calling in orphan ministry. So I'm going to have her share a little bit about what that is and what they're doing and how they're making a difference in Africa, which is super, super cool. With her siblings, with the 5 siblings, she has 2 in college, and the other siblings are there with her in Africa. And they have a dog named Duke, who they adopted in Africa. So Duke has become a family member as well. So not only is Kara doing all the work that she's doing with the ministry, and not only that, but then doing a homeschooling program, but she likes to read, she likes to listen to podcasts, and she gets out in nature, which is super cool. And she likes to travel and go to new places, which is kind of really great because that's what your family's doing. They're really giving you that opportunity to do that and have that world experience so you can see things. But one of the things I told Kara when we first met was that we have something in common, that our favorite food together, her favorite food is thin crust pizza, and me as well. I love thin crust pizzas. So it's really great. So first of all, Kara, thank you for making your day work. And I know, different time zones and everything else. And here you are in Africa. And, so in fact, what time is it where you are right now?
It is 8:14.
In the evening or in the morning?
Evening.
Okay, so you're 8:14 in the evening. It's 6:14 in the evening where I am, and I'm talking to you from Madrid, Spain. And then most people, whenever they're listening to it, will be whenever they're listening to it. But if you want to equate that to Eastern Standard Time, like Florida time, then right now it's 1 p.m. And do you guys do a time change? Do you do daylight savings time there?
No,
So did your time change yet, or does it change this weekend?
no, our time doesn't change here.
Oh, it
I
doesn't
think it's
change.
just
Gotcha. Okay. So it's really interesting, right? So in Madrid, where I am right now, there is a time change, but it doesn't happen until this weekend. And so everybody in the US where their time does change, their time changed like 2 weeks ago. You probably guys have noticed that too. It's like everything you thought it's like an hour different now. And because everybody's time got mixed up, now they're kind of back on the same time that you are. And then in Europe, Europe's time changes at this coming weekend, and then things get back a little bit back to normal until October comes and we do it all over again, and everybody's time gets all mixed up. So, and you got great weather right now, except it started to rain a little bit, but you're kind of in the high of 80 degrees in the daytime. That's really, really awesome for people knowing we're recording this in March of 2024. So if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, 80 degrees, some people think, oh, that's normal, but not in March for a lot of people where they live. So first of all, Kara, tell us, what is it that, because as a homeschool student, right, you've been homeschooled your entire life. You're 15 years old, you've been homeschooled the whole time. What do you love about being homeschooled?
so. I really like that. In homeschooling, you don't work around the schedule. Like you're not like, well, I can't do this because we have school that day. The schedule works around you, and so I mean, if you want to go do something in the middle of the week, that's fine. You can just do school on Saturday, or you can do like you know double school the day before, and everything is like you can choose. It's not you know um the school schedule chooses for you. And
Gotcha.
I'll travel a lot and go places midweek, and there are absolutely no crowds.
Oh, I
And
bet.
um, to an extent, I get to kind of choose what I want to study. Like I have to do like the basics, like all the math and all the history and all the science. But if I want to do something extra, we can literally just count that as school, and I get a credit for it.
Absolutely. And it's really great because, in homeschooling, you really actually get to go look in your life, see what you're doing in your life, and just notice that because we're learning all the time. So, why not be out doing something and meeting people and being in different parts of the world and doing the work that you're doing in orphan ministry, and at the same time get credit for it as part of your school. So, with those classes like math and science and your history and those classes, what I always tell, people talk about what it's like to be in a traditional school where they're in school like, 7 or 8 hours a day. And oftentimes homeschoolers are like, but I'm only doing school like maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. If you were looking at like those core courses, like your math and science and history classes, how much time do you think it takes you a day to get through all those?
Well, it takes me this year, it's taken me quite a bit longer than normal because I'm trying to do a heavier school year this year because we will be busier the next school year. So it probably takes me about 4 to 6 hours, like counting my lunch break and everything. Um, but it's not like torturous, like because
Right.
I enjoy school to an extent. So it's not bad. And I know it'll lighten up next year. So
Oh,
that's
that's
nice.
awesome. So, yeah, because it's funny, when people think about, well, homeschoolers, and they say even like a 4 hour day or 5 hour day, it's still shorter than what a young person that's going to a school is. But people forget when they go to a school, like they're in class, they're changing classes, they're going to their lockers, they got to get to the next class, they got to take all the walking times, they account for their lunch, the bus ride there, the bus ride home, all those different things. And when you get down to how much time you're actually spending working on your coursework and working on your classes, really does come down to that. And you're kind of doubling up, which is really, really awesome because you sounds like you got some big stuff coming up next year. So let's talk a little bit about the ministry and just tell us a little bit about how did you find your way to Africa? Obviously, mom and dad were very, very heavily involved in that and having bringing your family there. But tell us a little bit about how you got there, and then tell us about the ministry and what you all do while you're there.
All right. So probably in around 2016 or something, my parents started getting like interested in ministry, and they've always been big on kids, obviously having a family of 6 kids. So you know, and they felt that they're being called into orphan ministry. They weren't sure where. But then, you know, skipping a lot of details and everything, a place here in Lesotho opened up, and there is a big need here for orphan ministry. And so this is where we ended up. And so we do community-based orphan care, where we take care of we help provide education and, if need be, sometimes food and like school uniforms. And most of these kids have like families still living, like grandparents or aunts or uncles that they can live with. So it's better to keep them in the home in their community so they don't lose their identity of who they are, in an orphanage. At least
Wow.
that is how it is here.
That's really cool. Okay, so let's just look in the last couple of months or so, or your whole time that you've been there. Do you have like a favorite story, like something you've done where you felt like, wow, it really made a difference there? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
Um, so one thing, not like me, but like just this ministry. So every year we have, or we try to have a conference, a like kind of a tiny youth camp for the kids in our program. And so they're given it's they're given like school uniforms and everything throughout the year, but then everyone comes together from their respective villages, and they come, and there's like church services and counseling and food and everything for like a day or two. And so they all come, and they're so happy. It's like, we've actually made a difference. And I have in our church there are several kids who are in our ministry, and so they're my friends. like in my youth group and in the Sunday school that I like, I know them. So it's, different when you're making a difference in the lives of people you actually know and not just a picture on a screen or paper.
Yeah, wow, that's really, really awesome. That just must feel good, especially because it's like knowing that you're there and you're doing it together as a family, which is just so cool. So big shout out to your mom and dad for being willing to be in the orphan ministry, and not only that, but be willing to, to take you and your siblings on a really magical journey and to be in Africa and to see see the world through their eyes and see what they see, and that you can make a difference and be role models for them and provide them with things that they wouldn't normally have. So it's just really, really great. Okay. So you're 15 years old, right? And there's lots of young people, lots of teenagers that, as they're going through and they're kind of looking at like, being homeschooled and the different things that they're doing. And even the way that you're looking at things right now, you're taking on some extra coursework this year so that next year you can do some different things that wouldn't involve as much coursework or your traditional kind of classes. So do you got any kind of like secret sauce or any secrets you could share for teenagers that could really help them in their journey as they're homeschooled?
Yeah, so I would hope this is less of a secret and more of like, common sense. um, so I think it's really important that you figure out a routine. Like, it doesn't have to be like strict or whatever, but you just need to know like these are the days I do this. I do it between this time and that time, and I get it done. And if you do your routine, then it's like you don't have to really force yourself to do anything because it's a habit. So I think developing good habits and work hard, but at the same time, don't wear yourself out to the point where you're like sick. That's totally not healthy. Um, and right now, everyone, like, as teenagers, we don't feel like we have as much opportunity a lot of times. But if you like just look around you, you have opportunity like everywhere. Like, no, you may not be able to go, you know, change the world at age 16, but you have opportunities to do small things. And don't waste your time. Like, I know, especially me, I feel like, I have the rest of my life to do whatever I want, like whatever my dream career is, I have the rest of my life to do that. So I don't need to work on it right now. No, that's not true. Um, the funny thing with time is it doesn't just pause because you don't feel like doing it, So don't waste your time because right now, I mean, you're probably at your peak, like, physically. So why not go try out for that track team or, why not get fit and get off your couch? You have time now. So why wait until, you're old and have lots of regrets over not doing anything?
I love that. What's really great about that? It's like because I'm looking now, and I just recently hired a personal trainer, right? Because I'm at that point. I'm older. I had some gained a lot of weight, but gained enough where it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get back in shape. And you know what's amazing is that as an older guy, it's so much harder for me to maintain the schedule and to do the workout. And it's like, and I get a little frustrated because the results don't happen as quick as when I was in my 20s. And it was like I could go out and just exercise and do my thing. And I was like, okay, I look good, right? Now I'm like, wow, this is like, every time we do something, and my trainer, he just laughs at me because he makes me do planks. Do you know what planks are? Yeah, right. So he make me do planks and I yell at him. I'm like, I don't like doing these, and he's like, that's good. I'm glad you don't like it. This is good for you. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, right? So kind of funny. So really great advice because you do have the time now. And you said something about habits. And I think that's really, really important because the habits that you're forming now as a teenager for you are just going to be normal. Like that's just what you do as an adult. So I think that's really great advice for young people. Like, really get out there and get going and create those kinds of habits because those habits then you don't have to worry about breaking them. Why? Because it's just the way that you do things and you know what you're up to and you know the things you can do. So that's super cool. Now, so you've been in Africa and you've been there since 2016. So, when you look and see, have you got a chance to travel other places as well? Because I mean, coming from Kansas, that's a whole different life experience to be in Africa. But have you guys traveled other places too?
Yeah. So traveling places, we've been pretty much all over the United States, except most of the countries, states, like in New England, we haven't been there, but like we've been all over the states. We've been to Canada, Mexico, Guatemala. We've flown through France, but that doesn't really count because you never left the airport. We've been to a lot of different places in South Africa and Lesotho. So yeah, we've traveled quite a bit.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so you like thin crust pizza, right? Do they have pizza places there where you are? Or do you guys make your own pizza? So I gotta ask just because I'm a pizza guy myself, right?
Yeah, so normally we just make our own pizza, but they do have pizza places here, but homemade is just always better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So that's awesome. All right, very cool. So, you started our program in pre-algebra. So, and now, you've been a student of ours since then. You're doing algebra 2 this year. And I got to see one of the videos that you made. It told us about what was working for you in the program. And I watched your video and I was like, this is just so cool. So that's why I sent you a message. Hey, why don't you come on and we'll talk about your experience and what you're up to. And then I get to find out all this amazing stuff about what you and your family are doing. That's just amazing, right? So, when you're, in doing the program, what is it that you like about the math program that you're doing with us?
So I like that you can do it's encouraged to do the coursework along with your video. And so like, when you're showing me the question or the problem that you're working out and I have one similar, it's so much easier to understand and get it done and remember everything. And I like that it's self-paced, so I can, do 6 lessons a week, or I could do 1 lesson a week, and it doesn't mess it up. And also the extra help sessions are really helpful. Like I just finished geometry and my mom like knows no geometry. Like she cannot remember geometry. She was like, I was so bad at this in high school. So like she couldn't really help me with that. So, I just hopped on a extra help session a couple times and, it really helped.
Oh, that's so awesome. So that's cool because even from Africa, you can come to the extra help session and, meet with the teachers and do that. So it's really awesome. So, so I ask you because usually math students, they like one better than the other. Usually they like algebra, so they really don't like geometry so much, or they like geometry and they don't really like algebra so much. Do you have a preference between algebra and geometry so far?
Yes. So geometry makes so much more sense than algebra. And I'm probably actually going to take an extra help session tomorrow because it's just so confusing.
Yeah,
um,
right. It's tough. The new Algebra 2 course, it is tough, that's for sure. And that's why we have the extra help session. So you can do exactly that. And there's some teachers that are there to help you with that. But it's really funny because when I was 15 and I was your age, right? And I was the opposite. So I was way more an algebra person than geometry. And I went through geometry in high school and then got out of college. And it wasn't until the first time that I ever taught geometry that it ever made sense to me. And I was like, oh, that's what they were talking about. So I finally got to develop the love for it, right? But it took me, I was an adult before I was like started to really kind of get it and understand it. But algebra was okay. But it's kind of funny, the geometry is the thing. So when you finish algebra 2 this year, next year you'll start looking at pre-calc or when you're ready to do that. So you'll appreciate because you'll see a little more from the geometry stuff will come back when you get into the trigonometry and the pre-calculus. So that's awesome. All right. So here you are, you're 15. And by the way, this is a question that you don't have to have an answer to, right? because oftentimes young people, sometimes we feel like, I say we, I'm not that young anymore, right? But I even know, like when I was a teenager, it's kind of like sometimes you feel like you're supposed to have it all figured out and know what you're going to do with your life and what you're going to do after high school. And what's funny is it's like I look back and what I was looking at doing after high school, I don't do that. I'm doing something totally different, right? But have you thought about any of your plans like after high school? Like what does it look like for you? Especially given that you've got this amazing life you've been living. What are you thinking about after high school?
So, as is normal, I don't really know what career I really want to pursue. So I am planning on going to Bible college for a couple years after high school. And after that, I don't know. Whatever I'm interested, whatever works out.
That's really great. And I want you to know, I'm so happy you said that because I think that college is an amazing place to start to discover for yourself what you really do want to do, right? And so that you're kind of looking right now, and it sounds to me like when you're saying it, it's like, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to study and I'm going to see what's there, and then we'll start to see what happens from there. So I just think that's actually really great. So I'm excited for you and for your future. And I'm really thankful for what you and your family are doing, that you're providing the difference that you make in Africa and working with the orphans and just giving them, that they get to see a future that they wouldn't see otherwise if you all weren't there. So really, really, thank you for what you're doing. I think it's really, really awesome. So that's cool. So now, if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is let's do this again sometime, right? And come back and see what else are you guys up to? What are you looking at and different things like that. Does that sound okay for you?
I don't know.
Okay, awesome. Well, and maybe we'll get to meet Duke the dog next time. How about that? Well, that would be great. All right, everyone. Well, Kara, thank you for making your day work to be here in the evening time, I know for you. And you have been just super fun and delightful. So thank you for being here and just sharing authentically. So it was really, really great. And thank you, parents, for being who they are in the world and doing the kind of missionary work with the orphan ministry that they're doing. Really, it's amazing. So, and everyone tuning in today, thank you for tuning in to A Plus Parents, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.